we're being visited by UAPs, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. Or you might be more familiar with their older name, UFOs. There is a lot of interesting news coming out these days. You've probably seen it. Well, guess what? They've been coming for quite a while, and I have proof. Today, let's talk about Utsuro-Bune, or Utsuro-Fune, the legend of the hollow ship. Uncanny Japan is author me, Teresa Matsura, exploring all that is weird from old Japan. Strange superstitions and old wives' tales, cultural oddities and interesting language quirks. These are little treasures I dig up while doing research for my writing, and I want to share them with you here on Uncanny Japan. I hope you like the show. Hey, how are you? I have a question. Have you ever seen an unidentified aerial phenomena? Well, you're not alone. Way back on February 22nd, 1803, on the eastern coast of Japan in what is now somewhere in Ibaraki Prefecture, a group of fishermen saw a strange hollow boat, or Utsuro-Bune, floating all by its lonesome in the sea. No one had ever seen anything like it. There are several detailed ink drawings of the ship, but let me try to explain. Imagine a round, overturned saucer-type shape on top, your typical UFO flying saucer, with the bottom being similar in shape but coming to a point at the very bottom. The whole vehicle was about 3.3 meters or almost 11 feet high, and 5.45 meters, or almost 19 feet wide. They thought the top looked to be made of red-coated rosewood, and it had several windows. The windows were made of glass or crystal. So the fishermen looked inside and saw on the walls that they were decorated with texts they couldn't read. There were 2 bed sheets in there, a bottle of water, some cake, and some meat. Also inside this Utsuro-Bune was a beautiful young woman who spoke a foreign language and stood only 1.5 meters tall, so about 5 feet. Her skin was pink, her hair and eyebrows red, but she had white extensions, possibly made of fur. Her clothes were of a never-before-seen fabric and design. The fishermen towed the floating ship ashore, and everyone tried to communicate with this woman, but no luck. Oh, and before I forget, she was also holding onto a box that she wouldn't allow anyone to touch, even though they were trying to be very persuasive about seeing what's inside. There are different theories as to who she was and what she was sailing in, but one of those theories is indeed that she was an extraterrestrial and this was her spaceship. I think my absolute favorite part of this legend, though, is that after all this happened, an old villager made up a story as to what he thought was going on. He said something like, maybe the woman was a princess from a foreign country who was married, but she had an affair with one of the townsmen. Well, this caused a big scandal, and her lover was killed, beheaded. And the princess would have also been put to death, except she was quite liked by the townspeople. So it was decided that she would just be banished. What is preferable to death? Being cast to sea in an Utsuro-Bune, carrying your lover's head in a box. This far-fetched idea wasn't completely unfounded, however. It seems that before that incident, there was another in which a woman was washed ashore, along with a small board that had a severed head pinned to it. So anyway, as it turned out, in most versions of the story, the villagers put the woman back in her hollow floating vessel and returned her to the sea. One variation does have her living there until old age. If you think about how detailed this story is, the date, the drawings, that she had cake in her vessel, but I can't find anything else about her life in the town, so I'm a little suspicious about that. So let's say that she was put back out to sea. A month later, on March 24th, in a different part of the prefecture, on a beach called Harata no Hama, another strange boat washed ashore. This one was described a lot like the first one. Same shape, windows with bars. The bottom was covered in iron plates, and the first one had this too. The woman was the same height, same beauty, long hair, strange outfit, but her skin was said to be as white as snow. In the ship there were soft carpets, cake, and meat, as well as ornaments and a pretty cup. And if you had any doubts at all, she was reported to be carrying a box that no one was allowed to touch. These accounts are still being investigated today. There are those who say no, this is not a UFO at all, while other people insist that it was. They say that the symbols noted on the Utsuro-Bune are similar to the ones reported at the Rendlesham Forest incident in England, as well as ones found in caves that have been drawn on the walls. All these strange figures and weird symbols. Some say that it was actually an unidentified submarine object, or perhaps a UFO, unidentified floating object. I'll leave you with an interesting take. In 1844, there were some more studies about these incidents. One line of thought was that it could have been Russian-related. Of course, the clothes and hairstyles are different. Some Russian women have naturally red hair, and at the time they would dust it with white powder. Let's push this a little further. Have you ever heard the tale of the Tsar of Sultan? Here, a Russian Tsar named Sultan married the youngest of 3 sisters. The other 2 sisters he hired to work in his palace as a cook and a weaver. They weren't too happy about that. As a matter of fact, they were quite jealous. Well, their little sister got pregnant and the Tsar goes off to war, and they decide to act. They wait until after she delivers her baby. Then they have her sealed up in a barrel and thrown into the ocean. But the sea takes pity on her and has her and the baby washed ashore on a remote island of Buyong. Could Buyong be Japan? Could this be our Utsuro-Bune beauty? And what was in the box? Maybe the baby didn't make it. Okay, that's terribly grim and too much of a stretch because while it sounds like the legends might fit in the Tsar Sultan one, the son actually lives, saves an enchanted swan, rules a city, becomes a mosquito, gets a magical squirrel, turns into a fly, then a bumblebee, stings his ants, etc., etc. It's quite the ride. So I'll let you decide if our pretty lady riding in her Utsuro-Bune and dining on cake and meat is a Russian princess with a dead baby in a box, or some other mystical princess with the head of her lover in a box, or, like a whole lot of other people believe, an extraterrestrial who crash-landed into the ocean one day. You be the judge. But do look at the drawings. I'll put them up on the Uncanny Japan website and Insta, Twitter, Facebook, all those places. And they're pretty detailed. And they do look like a spaceship to me. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Keep your eyes on the skies, or on the ocean, as the case may be, and I will talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye. You've just reached the end of another episode of Uncanny Japan. Perhaps you'd like more. A monthly folktale translated and retold by me, the occasional binaurally mic'd soundscape like the ones you hear on this show, or recipes, behind the curtain episodes, homemade postcards, and more. If you're interested in that or supporting the show in any way, please search for Uncanny Japan and Patreon. We've got a wonderful group over there. Thank you again for listening, supporting, reviewing, and telling your friends about the show. My name is Teresa Matsura, and I will talk to you again soon.